Hello everyone. So in the last video we have seen our application is up and running, but nothing is displaying here. The reason for it is your application is running, but you shouldn't give it a root. For example, there is no functionality added. There is no API is running. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to simply add a path to the localhost 8080. So that means, for example, I'm saying, okay, if I have a stroke for the localhost 8080 and say staff. Okay, I can add this path to my local host and the whole URL should have a functionality. So what I'm trying to do is I'm adding this part appendix to my localhost 8080 and I can give a functionality to the appendix or to the whole. Then somebody tries the URL, the functionality should be coming in the browser. Something like that I'm going to do. Okay, that is what we call root. So I'm going to write a root, something for the root of staff. Okay, root staff, some functionality I'm going to write. Okay, to do that, what I need is I need a controller. Okay, so in the Spring we have a pattern called MVC, model view control pattern that we can study about later. Basically you should know, if you want to write a root or if you want to write some functionality, you have to have a controller package or class. So what I will do is I will first stop the application and simply I will create a new controller package. Okay, so what I will do is I will go here. Okay, and I will give right click and I'll give new package. Okay, here I will say controller. So we have a new package called controller. There I need to have a new controller class. So what I will do is I will give new Java class. I will say staff controller. So we have a new Java class called staff controller. Okay, you see the class has been created here. Okay, controller, staff controller. So what we are going to do is we are going to add an appendix called staff to my URL and I am going to have a functionality there. So that functionality and appendix, every details are going to be stored inside this controller basically. Okay, so what we normally do is we have annotations in Spring Boot. Okay, so we can tell that application that this is a controller class so that that application can come and look for the roots here. So what I will do is I will say at REST controller. Then you can see there is a suggestions coming that says REST controller. Okay, so this, what does this mean is this particular class is a REST controller class. That is what the annotation means. Okay, then what I will do is I need to write the root somewhere, right? So what I will do is I will write at get mapping. It's an annotation. Okay, and I will write the root here. So for me the root is / staff, right? Okay, if somebody types localhost 8080 and / staff, I want to write a functionality for that. So and what I am trying this get mapping is I want to get some data from the server and display in the URL. Okay, that means the direction is starting from the server or application going to the URL or going to the UI, not the other way around, starting from the UI and going to the server. No, that is post scenario that we are not going to look at now. Now what we are going to do is we are going to get some data and display in the UI. Okay, so for that purpose we will study get mapping we'll use. So for this annotation we have to write a functionality, right? So how we do is we write a method here. So I say public, okay, and let's say a string. Let's return a string for now. Okay, string, and that says let's write a method called get staff. Okay, so I'm going to give some hard-coded value here. So it's just a method and that is being annotated. That's all. I have a method that is being annotated here by a get mapping, and this is a string method, so the method has to return a string data here. So I will return some random string. So I will say return some random keyword, let's say staff staff with, I'm saying some number, let's say 8989, and phone 476990999. Okay, so it's just some random string I'm returning. So according to our logic, what should happen is the root should come and first find the controller and come and see this root here. So staff, the root is here. It's a get mapping, so we have to get some data from here to the UI, and then we are seeing, okay, this is a method that returns a string value. So what is the return string value? This value. So this value should be returned from the application and should be displayed when we try this root. You got it? So that is the logic. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build it again. So as I said in earlier, I'm going to first clear this. I'm going to write mvn clean install. So that means the build is successful. So basically what we have done is we have wrote a simple one single API. So this is called an API because it can using this root we can access the functionality. So this is basically an API. Okay, so I have built the API successfully. I have wrote a simple API that can return a string and I have built it successfully. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to run the API and I'm going to try whether the root is working or not. So as we all know, how we can run is we will go here and we will simply run this. So you can see the application has been started. It says started staff management application and it is running. And again it is in port 8080, but we have a controller here that has an API called staff. Okay, so what I will do is I will simply go here and I will refresh the 8080 and I'm still getting the same error. Okay, why? Because still I didn't go to my functionality. So how I can go to my functionality is I have the root here, right? It should come as an appendix to the existing URL. So what I should do is I will go to my URL again and I will type /n staff. So this is my appendix. So as soon as I type, you can see we are seeing a string here. So this is the same string. This is the same string I was trying to provide here. You see, staff with number 8989. So just for our satisfaction, what I will do is I will just remove the later part of this string and I will again run it so that we can see whether it really works. Let's see, I will give the number of 1000 now. I'll stop it and I will rebuild it. So the build is success here, right? So now I will again run, but this time I have changed the string to staff with 1000, right? So I will run the application now. So the application is up and running, nothing is wrong. So I will go to the URL and I will refresh it. And you see staff with number 1000 is being printed. That means our route is correctly being routed to our API that we wrote, that is inside the controller. The functionality is being accessed successfully. So actually we are randomly returning a string, but in future we will see how we can develop this API further to build it to a proper model based object oriented API. Thanks everyone.